Hi, and welcome to this installment of the Proteopedia video guide. I'm Iran, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to add a scene link to a page. Scene links are the green links on Proteopedia pages that trigger changes in the three-dimensional structure on the page. Let's go to the sandbox so that I can mess around a little bit. If you don't already know, the sandbox is the place where you can go to make trial edits. So here we are on the sandbox, and we have some text as well as a three-dimensional applet on the page. It's important that the page have an applet on it if we'd like to add some green links, because the green links need to affect a change in some applet that's on the page. If there's no applet, clicking on a green link won't recall a three-dimensional scene anywhere. They need the applet to work. If you don't know how to add applets to a page, I encourage you to watch the Proteopedia video guide episode that deals with adding applets to a page. So creating a scene is easy, and you start by clicking on Edit this page. As we learned in a previous episode of the Proteopedia video guide, this area allows us to edit the text of the page. If we scroll down, however, we find the Scene Authoring Tools, and it is here that all the creation of three-dimensional scenes is done. We click on Show to expand the Scene Authoring Tools, and you'll see that the Scene Authoring Tools are comprised of two cells. One on the right, in which a JMOL applet, JMOL is the software that creates these three-dimensional visualizations, the applets that we've seen on Proteopedia pages, and this left cell that has text or buttons that will allow you to interact with the JMOL applet. Now what we'd like to do, the way that the Scene Authoring Tools work, is that we begin by loading something into the Proteopedia Authoring Tools. Either a molecule, so we'll load from PDB code or from a Proteopedia uploaded file, or we'll load a pre-existing scene. So we start by either loading a molecule or by loading a scene, a pre-existing scene. Then what we do, I will load one XJO from the PDB code. The next thing we do is manipulate the view to a view that we desire. We choose selections. One second, let me change the view a little bit so we can see everything. We use selections to select specific parts of the molecule that we'd like to alter. Selection halos is a feature that allows us to see what is currently selected. I clicked on Select All. This selected every atom in the file. I can click on Select None. What I'll do now is I will use the Add to or Remove from Selection area to add the atoms in the active site to our selection. And I've done so. You saw as soon as I clicked on Add to Selection, the atoms in the active site appeared with these halos. Now, the active site is a predefined site within the PDB file that the authors have written in. If such functional sites appear within the PDB file, then a box like this one will appear within the Selections tab and allow you to select those functional sites. So now that we've made our selection, and we can turn selection halos on or off, it doesn't matter. Even if they are off, the same selection is still selected. We just don't have a pointer, if you will, pointing to what is currently selected. Let's go ahead and go to Representations. We will set a representation, a stick and wireframe, as well as cartoon for these selected residues. Now you saw that as soon as I did that, the representation was changed. I can rotate by clicking my mouse and dragging around the JMOL applet. And if I hold Shift, moving up and down with my mouse allows me to zoom in and out. And while still holding Shift, moving left and right allows me to rotate around this axis. So I'll zoom in, and what I'll do is I will color these residues green. Okay? I can turn off the halos. They're still selected, and you'll see that by the simple fact that they're still the only residues changing colors when I'm clicking on different colors here. Now that we have created our scene and we like it, actually let's do one more thing. Back in the Selections tab, sorry about that, let's scroll over here. I can click on this button, Center on Current Selection, and that's centered on these active site residues. So what I've done so far is loaded a molecule, 1XJO. I've manipulated its view. I've used selections to select a specific part of the molecule. Afterwards, I changed the representation scheme of that part of the molecule, as well as the color scheme. And once I'm satisfied with this view that I would like to show, I go to Save Scene, and I can give it a name. My New Scene. Description: this is my new scene that highlights the active site of 1XJO. When the scene loads, I want it to spin or not spin. I can choose. I'll choose to have it not spin because I'd like this orientation preserved. Save as animation. No, this is not an animation. This is a single file. So I'll save this scene. And when I do, some wiki text appears in this box. Copy and paste the following line where you want the scene link to appear. Scroll down if needed, and edit the text to be displayed. So we have this line. I will copy it, and I'll paste it up here. This was the wiki text that was given to me when I saved the scene. You can see that the syntax is similar to that of an applet. We open the scene tag. We give a parameter for the scene called the name. This is the name of the scene. That first tag is closed, and we have something called text to be displayed. It is here that we can write active site, and active site will appear in green. So let's say I say this is the active site of the protein. When I save that page, we will find that active site appears in green and is our scene link. And here's the ending scene tag. I just want to explain a little bit about the parameter, the name parameter for a scene. Remember that we're in the sandbox page right now. That's why this first part of the scene name that we just created is sandbox. If you create a scene within a page, that scene is attributed to the page in which you created it, in this case sandbox. Then there's a separating slash followed by the name that we gave our scene, my new scene. This is the name that we gave. And the last thing is the version number. There was currently no scene by the name of my new scene in sandbox. Therefore, the scene that we saved with this new scene name, my new scene, was created as version 1. If I go back to the sandbox page, load my new scene, for instance, or I don't even have to load my new scene. As long as I save another scene with the same name, let's say I create some JMOL scene, and I save it giving the same name, my new scene, Protopedia will realize that there's already existing one scene by that name in the sandbox page and will add to its version number. In this case, the second scene that we had saved would be sandbox/mynewscene/2. In this manner, scenes are never lost. Scenes are never destroyed when another user comes and saves over the same scene name or tries to improve a scene that a different user has created. You can always go back in the spirit of a wiki. So, having explained all of that, I'll summarize by saying that this is the opening scene tag, the name parameter here, the text to be displayed goes in the middle here, and the closing scene tag. If we now save our page, first we'll note that we can't save the page because to enable the buttons below, we need to save our scene and then hide the scene authoring tools. We've already saved our scene, so we just need to hide the scene authoring tools by clicking on Hide. Now that we've done that, the Save Page button is enabled, and we can click on it. And now we see that our green scene link has been inserted into the page. And when we click on it, the scene is recalled smoothly. I want you to notice that we never programmed any animation into the scene link. The smooth transition is taken care of behind the scenes. All that we do as authors and users is create a two-dimensional image, if you will, of the JMOL, the three-dimensional applet here, a combination of view, representation, colors, labeling, and that specific combination, which we call a scene, is smoothly recalled when the user clicks on the green link. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching.